Fellas, if you're a guy over 40, I need you to hear this because almost every man I work with is getting this dead wrong. Most men think touching a woman's breasts is just a warm-up, a quick little pit stop before the main event. But the truth is, if you touch her the wrong way, too fast, too rough, too predictable, you're actually shutting down one of the most powerful orgasm pathways in her entire body. Yeah, a lot of guys don't want to admit this, but women can have full, deep, mind-bending breast orgasms, and most men never learn how to give them, not because they're bad lovers, but because nobody taught you how a woman's breasts actually work on a hormonal and neurological level. So if you've ever wondered why she isn't reacting the way you hoped, or why she seems meh or distracted even when you think you're doing everything right, this is the video you absolutely cannot skip, especially if you want to blow her mind with just your hands in your mouth. Stay with me, guys. This one matters. I'm Dr. Camilla Hayes. Welcome to the Diabetes Health Clinic channel. I'm a men's health specialist, and for the last couple of decades, I've helped thousands of men over 40 get their hormones back in balance, boost their energy, reclaim their confidence, and yes, seriously upgrade their sexual performance in ways they didn't think were possible anymore. And look, I'm not here to judge you. I'm here like a doctor who actually talks to you like a real person. I work with guys who are busy, stressed, dealing with aging, dealing with health issues, trying to keep their relationships strong while their bodies feel like they're changing on them. I hear all the frustrations, all the questions, the doc, is this normal? And the why isn't this working anymore? Every single day. So when I'm talking to you about how to touch a woman's breasts properly and how to unlock a part of her pleasure most men completely overlook, I'm saying it from real clinical experience, real conversations, and real results. If you're a man over 40 and you want to be the kind of partner she craves, you're in the right place. All right, here's what we're diving into today, and trust me, you're going to want to stay with me all the way to the end. I'm going to break down exactly how a woman's breasts respond to touch. Hormonally, neurologically, psychologically, all in simple, guy-friendly language. Then I'm going to give you 9 specific techniques that most men have never been taught. Not the generic stuff from magazine articles. I mean the real, clinical, this actually works on real women kind of strategies. We're talking about how to warm her up the right way, how to read her reactions so you don't rush or push too hard, how to stimulate the nerves that connect directly to her pleasure centers, how to use your hands, your lips, your breath, all of it, in a way that builds intensity instead of killing the moment. And stay with me till the end, because the last tip is something even most urologists and OB/GYNs forget to tell men. But it's the key to unlocking those full-body breast orgasms that women rarely, if ever, experience. So if you want to make her melt, respond, arch, breathe harder, all from your touch alone, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. All right, fellas, before we jump into the 9 techniques, we need to lay some groundwork. Because if you don't understand why women's breasts respond the way they do, you'll never be able to touch them in a way that truly lights her up. Let's start with something simple. Most men treat breasts like buttons. Press here, squeeze there, flick a little, boom, she should react. But breasts are not buttons. They're closer to emotional and hormonal antennas, incredibly sensitive, deeply wired into her nervous system, and heavily influenced by her mood, her stress levels, and her sense of safety. Now let's break this down so it actually makes sense. When a woman's breasts are touched gently, slowly, and intentionally, her body releases oxytocin, what we usually call the bonding hormone. Oxytocin is the hormone that makes her feel connected, open, relaxed, affectionate, and yes, sexually responsive. It's the same hormone that's shared during cuddling, kissing, even breastfeeding, which is why breast stimulation is such a powerful emotional and sexual trigger for many women. But here's the part most guys don't realize. When oxytocin goes up, so does the sensitivity of her nipples and her whole chest. The nerves actually fire faster. Her skin becomes warmer. Her blood flow increases. It's like her body is saying, okay, I'm ready for more. But when you rush, when you grab too early, suck too hard, or act like you're trying to fast forward to the good part, oxytocin drops, her stress hormones rise. and suddenly her breasts feel more ticklish or uncomfortable instead of sexy. Think of it like a dimmer switch, not an on-off switch. Men often try to flip the switch, but women want the dial turned slowly. Now, let's talk about something else that sneaks up on men, especially men over 40. As men age, testosterone naturally dips. When testosterone dips, patience dips, energy dips, presence dips, and most importantly, sensitivity to her body language dips. So what happens? You get into a routine. You do the same touches you did in your 20s or 30s. You speed through foreplay because your brain is wired for efficiency now, not exploration. Meanwhile, women's bodies often become more responsive to breast stimulation as they age. More women over 40 can have breast orgasms than women in their 20s, simply because their nerve pathways become more developed and their brains respond more strongly to oxytocin. But here's the problem. Most men slow down sexually as they age, while women's breasts actually become more capable of pleasure, but only if they're touched correctly. So there's this mismatch. She could be having incredible, full-body reactions from breast stimulation, but he's moving too fast, or applying the wrong pressure, or treating it like a quick step in the warm-up instead of a major pleasure center. And that brings us to another big reason this matters. Breast stimulation is one of the fastest ways to activate the same brain pathways that trigger clitoral or vaginal orgasms. In fact, when a woman has a nipple orgasm, the brain lights up in almost the exact same regions as a clitoral orgasm. It's almost like a wireless connection to her pleasure center. But here's the key. You have to approach her breasts in a way that makes her body feel safe, excited, and open. And men, you are not taught this. No one teaches you how women's bodies actually work. Nobody in school, no doctor, no coach, no older man pulls you aside and says, "Hey, here's how women's breasts function hormonally and neurologically. Here's the map." So what do guys do? They improvise. They copy porn. They do whatever worked on their last partner. They skip the slow parts, or they assume she's just not that sensitive. But the truth is, she is sensitive. You just need the right approach. This is why I want you to really absorb this next part. Women don't just want physical touch, they want attuned touch. Touch that responds to how they're breathing, how they're shifting, how their nipples change, how their muscles relax. And when you understand the physiology, the hormones, the nerves, the psychology, when you understand why the slow, intentional approach works, you stop guessing, and you start giving her the kind of pleasure that most men never even get close to. So now that you know why breast stimulation is so powerful, why it matters even more for men and women over 40, and why most guys unknowingly sabotage the experience, let's break down the exact steps you need to know to touch her in a way that wakes up her entire body. Fellas, the first thing you need to understand is this. You cannot jump straight in. Not with her breasts, not if you want real reactions. Most guys over 40, completely unintentionally, treat breast touching like a checkbox. Quick squeeze, quick kiss, done. But women don't work like that. The chest is one of the slowest warming erogenous zones on the entire body. Here's why. Breasts have a huge concentration of sensory nerves, but those nerves respond best once the skin warms up and the blood flow increases. Think of her chest like cold hands on a winter day. If you touch cold skin with cold hands, it doesn't feel sexy, it feels nothing. But warm them slowly, suddenly every nerve wakes up. Physiologically, when you start slow, soft palms, gentle skin contact, warm breath, her parasympathetic system kicks in. That's the system that makes her relax, open up, and become more sensitive. This is also when oxytocin starts rising, which turns her chest into a pleasure amplifier. What most men think, she's already turned on, let's move it along. What actually works? The slower you start, the faster she gets aroused. It's counterintuitive, but absolutely true. So what do? Start with warmth. Lay your hand on her chest, not grabbing, not poking, just holding. Let your hand heat her skin. Let her feel your presence first, not your technique. Use slow circles around the outer breast, not the nipple yet. The outer edges are where the warm-up should happen. Real life example. You know when someone gives you a great back rub, they don't start by digging into your muscle. They warm the area first. Treat her breasts the same way. Warm first, stimulate second. If you get this first step right, her body will do half the work for you. She'll breathe deeper, her chest will lift toward your touch, and her nipples will become more responsive because you didn't rush it. Let me tell you about a patient of mine. I'll call him Mark. Mark is 52, runs his own contracting business, works long hours, eats decently, but like most guys, stress runs his life. He came to see me because things in the bedroom felt off, not broken, just flat. His words were, "Doc, she's not reacting the way she used to. I feel like I'm doing everything wrong and I don't know why." Mark's wife, Elena, is 49. They've been married over 20 years. They love each other, they still flirt, they're close, but intimacy just didn't have the spark it once had. He told me, "I try to touch her, kiss her, play with her chest, and she just sort of lies there. Not upset, not bored, just nothing." And you could see it in his face, that quiet male shame a lot of guys carry but don't talk about. So I asked him to walk me through what he normally did. And honestly, he did what most men do. He'd go straight for the nipples. He'd squeeze a little because he thought pressure equals pleasure. And if she didn't react after 30 seconds, he assumed she wasn't into it, and he'd move on. But here's what I noticed. Mark had no idea how her body actually warmed up. He didn't understand her breathing cues, her subtle little shifts, the way her chest responded with time. He wasn't doing anything wrong on purpose. He just never learned the physiology behind her pleasure. So I explained to him what I'm explaining to you now. Women's breasts are deeply tied to oxytocin, relaxation, and emotional safety. They require warming, slow buildup, and a tuned touch, not pressure and speed. I gave him a simple assignment. For 1 week, during intimacy, he couldn't touch her nipples at all. Only warm-up touches, only slow circles, only soft chest holds and gentle breath work. And, most importantly, he had to pay attention to her, not his checklist. When he came back, he looked like a completely different man. He said, "Doc, she melted. I mean melted. She arched into me. She grabbed my wrist. She pulled me in. I didn't realize she could respond like that. It was like I unlocked something." But here's the part that stuck with me. He said, "I always thought she wasn't as sensitive as she used to be. But really, I was the one who stopped slowing down." That's the lesson I want every man over 40 to take from this. Your partner isn't numb. She isn't hard to read. She isn't losing interest. She's waiting for the kind of touch that matches who she is now, not who she was 20 years ago. And when you meet her where she is, with presence and patience, her body will surprise you, just like Elena surprised Mark. All right, fellas, let's clear up a few big myths that absolutely wreck men's confidence and women's pleasure. These are the things I hear in my clinic all the time, and honestly, they're the reason so many guys over 40 get frustrated or think they're doing something wrong. Myth number 1, if she doesn't react instantly, she's not turned on. Nope. Completely false. Women's breasts do not have instant-on nerve pathways like men's genitals. They warm up slowly, the same way a slow cooker beats a microwave. Her lack of immediate reaction isn't rejection, it's biology. Why the myth exists. Porn. Flat out. Everything in porn is fast. Fast touching. Fast reactions. Fast orgasms. Real women don't work like that, especially women over 40, who often become more sensitive but take longer to warm up. The truth? If you give her time, if you stay consistent, if you don't get discouraged, her reactions get stronger and stronger. Think of it like building pressure in a chamber, slow at first, explosive later. Myth number 2, more pressure equals more pleasure. Wrong again. Most guys think if she likes it a little, she'll love it a lot. But for breasts, that logic is backwards. Why the myth exists. Guys assume women's breasts respond like male genitalia, where more pressure often does feel more intense. But her breasts aren't built like that. Breast tissue is soft adipose tissue with delicate nerve endings, not muscle. Too much pressure can shut down the nerve response and even trigger discomfort or numbness. The truth? Start so lightly, you almost think it's too light. If she wants more, trust me. She'll show you. She'll lean in, she'll press against your hand, she'll breathe deeper. Women signal with their body long before they say anything out loud. Myth number 3, nipple stimulation is the main event. Look, nipples are powerful, yes. They connect directly to areas of the brain associated with orgasm, but if you go for the nipples too early, it's like sprinting before stretching. The body doesn't feel good, and it shuts down. Why the myth exists? A lot of guys get that one moment, maybe years ago, when a partner loved nipple play, and they think every woman, at every moment, is going to respond the same way. The truth: the outer breast is where the magic starts. The edges, the sides, underneath. These areas are like the warm-up track. Once they're activated, her nipples become exponentially more sensitive, and that's when nipple stimulation becomes incredible. So here's the real bottom line. Women's breasts don't respond to shortcuts. They respond to buildup, warmth, sensitivity, and timing. Once you stop believing the myths, you start touching her in a way that actually works for her body, not what you think should work based on movies, past partners, or guesswork. And when you do that, you're not just a man touching her breasts. You're a man who understands her. And that, fellas, is where the fireworks start. All right, fellas, let's lock this in so it sticks. Here's the quick rundown of what we've covered today. First, slow down. Start with warm-up touches. Her chest isn't a button, it's a slow response pleasure zone. Second, pay attention to her reactions. Not all women warm up the same way, so read her body, her breathing, her little shifts. Third, pressure doesn't equal pleasure. Start light, let her signal when she wants more. Fourth, don't rush to the nipples. Activate the outer breast first. That's the gateway to mind-blowing nipple sensitivity. Fifth, breast stimulation is powerful because it connects directly to her brain's pleasure centers. When done right, it can even trigger full-body orgasms. Sixth, myths are killing your results. Instant reactions, heavy pressure, or going straight for the nipples rarely works. Slow, attuned, patient touch wins every time. Seventh, presence matters. Be engaged, pay attention, and make her feel safe. The emotional connection amplifies every nerve response. Do this, and you're not just touching her breasts. You're unlocking an entirely new level of intimacy and pleasure she may not have felt in years. All right, fellas, here's the deal. If you're serious about stepping up your game and actually giving her the kind of pleasure that makes her melt, don't just watch this video and forget it. Hit that like button to let me know you're ready to take action. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of my tips for men over 40, everything from hormones and energy to sexual performance and confidence. Drop a comment below telling me what you struggle with most in intimacy. I read every single one, and I give tailored advice all the time. And if you want my free guide on advanced techniques for men 40+, the full step-by-step roadmap to connect with her body and boost intimacy, grab it right now in the description. Don't wait, because every day you hesitate is a day you're leaving her reactions on the table. Take action, learn the right way, and watch how your connection and her pleasure skyrockets. You've got this, fellas. Remember, it's not about rushing, guessing, or copying what you saw online. It's about understanding her body, being present, and building pleasure step by step. You're not alone, and you're definitely not broken. Keep showing up, keep learning, and keep connecting the right way. I'm Dr. Camilla Hayes. Stay strong, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next one.